A big thing is that if you see somebody you've never met before, welcome them. Make them feel welcome. Talk to them. Say, hey, what's up? Feel free to ask questions. Because like in my student career here, I went to a couple other different student groups, and it was just so cool that even though I felt really out of place, I went to Latino Student Union once, and I felt really out of place because I'm white as white can be. So, and I honestly don't know that much about Latino culture. But the moment I walked in the door, somebody who didn't know me came up to me, shook my hand, and said, hey, welcome. And that's the kind of mindset that sets people open to learning and wanting to be there, and maybe even coming back to your student group. So, we have this big level. Your student group, big production. Take it down a level. Speak out in your classes. If you're talking about something relevant to a cultural group, or a cultural group you know a lot about it, or you know a lot about, speak out. Talk about it. Yeah, I know in my whole big spiel of what I am, I said that I was an atheist. Well, that's not exactly true. I'm not just an atheist, I'm a Pastafarian atheist. I believe that there is no God at all, but if there is a God, it has to be a flying spaghetti monster. You guys are smiling because I talk about this a lot at work. So, like, if my class was getting into a discussion about religion, and people were putting their things about, like, well, Jesus says this, and Moses said this, and Vishnu said this. I could also input, hey, the flying spaghetti monster said this. And that would give them that exposure to my culture while I'm getting exposed to their culture. I'm learning about them, they're learning about me, and hopefully we're breaking down some stereotypes. And then, obviously, the most important, going up to somebody you don't know, saying, hey, what's up? I'm super queer, how are you? Good, how are you? One-on-one. Taking that time to talk to people. When I was out and about as a gay superhero one day, some guy came up to me and was like, hey, I want to talk to you one-on-one, and he emailed me. So I was kind of apprehensive, just because, like, okay, this guy is an assumably able-bodied heterosexual white male. Should I be scared? Because I'm the big gay superhero. Yes, that was going on a negative stereotype about white men, which every day my coworkers and my friends break. But so we met up in Starbucks and we talked one-on-one. He learned about what I was doing. I learned about why he was curious to talk to me. And if he was not an ally, a straight supporter before then, he was certainly after we walked out of that coffee shop. Every day, we have opportunities to break down stereotypes. There are stereotypes that all gay people are flamboyant. Which, yes, I fit that. I fully admit that. I fit it completely. But then again, I also have many friends who are lipstick lesbians. They are effeminate women. I also have gay men who are straight acting, who, if you looked at them, you couldn't tell if they were gay. I specifically talk about gay rights in this presentation because that's what I know the best. But I know everyone who has examples from your own culture, from your own communities, that you want to break, and you can break those by the one-on-one connection, the one-on-one talking, or just by being yourself. And I hate to say this, I honestly do, but the more dumb questions you can answer, the better. One of the dumbest questions I absolutely hate, because I'm a gold star lesbian. I have never had sexual relations of any sort with a male. The dumbest question I absolutely hate, but I love to answer it, just because it breaks those myths. If you've never had sex with a man, how do you know you're a homosexual? Well, the exact same way you know that you're a heterosexual if you've never had sex with a man, if this is a male individual. Because that's how I feel. That's who I am. It's like I'm attracted to women, not to men. And also responding to the dumb comments is important. If somebody says, oh, well, it's a sin, you just kind of got to look at them and say, oh, well, that kind of all depends on where you're coming from. Because I've talked to numerous churches that are very gay positive and who view those verses differently in the given religious text than other people do. So be out, be loud and proud, represent every day, because every day you have the opportunity to change somebody's mind, to change somebody's thought processes. Why do we need to change these thought processes? Because that gets us to a better state. In the 1950s, why was it so much easier for legislation to pass? Because people one-on-one got to know a positive view of individuals because they spoke out. It's like, hey, you know what, my rights are being violated here. I'm a human, I'm a hard worker. Why don't I get equal treatment? Why don't I get equal pay? And because people were speaking out and talking and doing those one-on-one experiences as well as the big student group or big cultural group rallies and so on. Those broke stereotypes, those broke myths, those got people thinking. As recently as the last 10 years have been big for gay or civil rights. Anybody here ever heard about the court case Lawrence versus the state of Texas? Sweet Rich, thank you. For those of you who don't know, Lawrence versus the state of Texas was the landmark case that knocked down all the sodomy laws. Because up till then, there was only a couple of states that had laws against two consenting adults in the privacy of their own bedroom having adult relations. And there was this couple of gay men who got arrested for it in Texas. So this case got appealed and appealed and appealed until it finally went to the Supreme Court and it got struck down. Why did it get struck down? Because people were out, people were talking, people were open about who they were. So everybody on that Supreme Court knew somebody who was gay. Everybody who was dealing with that legislation probably knew somebody who was gay. So, I mean, if we can strike down laws, we can break stereotypes. And I hope I haven't rambled too much. Any questions? Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much.